So, squares are pretty great. Awesome geometric form. However, there's one thing far better than a square. A block. And that's why today we're gonna take a deep look into the company Block, formerly Square, and alongside with it, we're also gonna dive into PayPal, so stay tuned. Hello and welcome to another video by HKCM. My name is Joe, and as just mentioned, today we're gonna take a look at the company PayPal and along with it the company Block, formerly known as Square. And why those two, you might wonder? Because those companies, I have been observing them over the last couple of months, and for at least half a year now they have been closely tracking one another, pretty much like a head-to-head race, if you will. And so far between those two there's no clear winner, so every single time I'm opening up my charts, I'm opening up my trading view, it's always going to be a surprise which one is up ahead at this point in time. And I'm going to show you what I mean in just a sec. So starting off with PayPal, you know what? We're gonna switch it around. We're gonna start off with Block. And we're starting off with the overreaching time frame. So Block, formerly known as Square, the company founded by Jack Dorsey, one of the biggest and loudest advocates for Bitcoin. That's why me personally, I love that guy heaps, because I'm a huge Bitcoin lover, he's a huge Bitcoin lover, and he is a Bitcoin lover full-heartedly. So lots of love go out for Jack Dorsey, my man. So with Block, back then it was still Square. In that's February, March of 2021, we have established an overreaching wave 1 top, and ever since we have been in a corrective downtrend or sideways trend that has not led anywhere for at least the last 2.5 years even. However, since the very end of 2023, we seem to have turned the tables and we seem to have been in a somewhat weak but definitely solid upwards trend, and that's why we have concluded the bottom of wave 2 here, so the pivot point of wave 2. That's why also we have established here a target zone to get into the market, and that was around the levels of $60-ish, slightly below $60, so $40 to $60. On those levels we have established our target zone back then, and from those entry points you're now up at least 50, maybe even 100%, depending on where exactly in that target zone you went into the market. And on the bigger overreaching time frame, we definitely see huge upwards potential for that title. We conclude that we are now in the very early stages, in the very beginning stages of a wave 3 to unfold, and that wave 3 should come to completion in a admittingly yet very big target zone, somewhere between $490 to $770 per share. So that's a huge target zone, I know. However, we are still a long ways off from that target zone, and as soon as we get further along in that wave 3 development, as soon as we get the first wave, second wave, third wave, maybe even fourth wave of that overreaching wave 3 in, then of course we will proceed to narrow that target zone down, to shrinken that zone down to make a more precise target for your trading. And so since that overreaching target is such a long ways off, let's switch to the more imminent time frame. And on the more imminent time frame, we see that ever since that second target zone over here in, when was that exactly? So that target zone was reached in May of 24 and was left in October of 2024. So again, a very long time frame where you had been able to get into the market to make use of the target zone that we had established beforehand. And that's, by the way, not the same target zone that you saw over here. So that target zone over here, that was a bigger and overreaching one. So that's the one that you can see down here, reaching all the way down to even below $40. This one was a more recent one. This one was after we had already established the wave 1 top here, and we had been in the conclusion of the wave 2, and back then we concluded that this might already be the wave 2 low, so the pivot point of the wave 2, which now has become our alternative scenario. As you can see here, obviously stated, we have the alt 2 wave down here, so that's the alternative scenario then, which would lead to direct increases as mentioned here in our alternative scenario with a 38% probability. However, our primary scenario as of now remains that we have not yet had the wave 2 bottom in, so we conclude the wave 2 bottom will probably be reached somewhere here in the target zone between $43-ish and $60-ish, so somewhere in that area the wave 2 should come to a bottom, should come to a pivot point, and then of course lead into the then developing wave 3, again with strong upwards momentum, taking us far beyond $100. And so if that would play out as we now currently conclude, starting from the upper end of our target zone, that would mean at least an easy 100% gain, maybe even more like 150-ish. But same as with the overreaching long-term target zone for our wave 5 top, likewise here we will further define, further narrow down that target for the wave 3 top as soon as the wave 2 low is definitely in, and as soon as we see very clear signs that the wave 3 that we expect conclude here is now in the process of unfolding. And you probably remember that just before I told you that the company PayPal and Block are currently in a head-to-head race for at least the last half a year, and I just show you what I mean. So if we go over to PayPal now, you see that the wave 2 low we have concluded here in the low from July of 2024, and that low was at $57. And let's go over to Block again with August of 2024. That low for Block has been exactly at $55. So $55 was the low for Block, and the following top for Block was at $100, and for PayPal the low was at $57 and the top was at $93. And ever since on that whole track it was a current back and forth between the two. You see PayPal had a very strong initial increase, but then somehow wore off. The strength of the chart wore off. With Block it was kind of the opposite. So Block had a very slow start from the get-go, maybe a turbocharged engine that only develops power higher up. That's at least if we want to really draw the comparison to a real head-to-head race. And from then onward Block really gained momentum and even established a higher high as PayPal did. As just mentioned, PayPal was topping out at 93 and Block topped out at almost $100. And now currently Block is sitting again in the lead. Block is sitting in the lead at almost $85 per share, and PayPal, after that huge shock with the earnings, is now sitting at $77 per share. So it remains super interesting. It remains thrilling to watch which company is gonna take the lead for the long term. But at this point, I really fear I might be already overstressing that analogy, so forget about it for now. The imminent picture for PayPal here after the huge sell-off of the earnings, which I kind of really didn't understand. If we look at the earnings here, we had a reported earnings of $1.19 per share. We had an estimate beforehand of $1.12, and we had an estimated revenue of $8.26 billion, and we had an estimated revenue at $8.260 billion, and we had a reported revenue of $8.037 billion. So both surprises to the upside, and don't ask me why. I would have concluded that's a good result, that's a good earning report. However, the market concluded differently, and ever since we've seen a 15% sell-off. Don't ask me. The market's always right, you know, that's what they say, but I don't know how he is right in that regard. Seems kind of odd, seems kind of confusing to me, but that again is one of the clearest indications on why we hugely believe in chart analysis, why we believe in Elliott wave theory, because I don't know, I mean, bring those results to a fundamental analysis, bring those results to some fundamental analysis, and please ask him to explain to you why we see an earnings and revenue result better than expected, and that then results in a 15% sell-off. How is that justifiable? I have no idea. I really don't get it. But back then to our analysis, which I really deem superior at this point, we now conclude that the wave 2 low will come in maybe a bit lower even than we expected before. So as of last week, we already had a target zone established here. However, after this most recent violent sell-off with even positive results, and indicators not looking bright at all, we concluded that we want to take that target zone off the table. So our conclusion with the wave 2 bottom, the wave 2 pivot point coming in somewhere here in that area. So our scenario, our expectation remain the same. We still conclude that a wave 2 bottom, a wave 2 pivot point will be formed somewhere here in that area. However, the target zone that we had there beforehand, now we have taken it off the chart because we just have so much lesser confidence that this target zone will hold because of that violent sell-off with positive results and because the indicators really weakening and weakening. And in the stock market, in the charts, nothing is ever 100% guaranteed. We always have to play with probabilities, and if we see the probabilities not as favorable as before, we see the probabilities turning against us, we might take a step as we did here to take off the target zone. Our scenario remains intact. However, we do not at this point have enough confidence to keep the target zone up here. That's why the target zone has been taken off the chart at this point. And overreaching scenario for PayPal, somewhat similar to Block. Surprise, surprise. We likewise see a wave 1 established here in February of 2021. And ever since, we've been in a corrective downward move in an A, B, C correction, with the C low likewise in the end of 23. And ever since, we believe that we are in the very early beginning stages of this now overreaching, huge, developing wave 3, which would take us all the way above above $670, somewhere maybe even all the way up to close to $900. But same as with Block, likewise applies here. We will narrow that zone down. We will define that zone more clearly as soon as we get further along, as soon as we have the wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 top maybe even in. That's where we really can gain more confidence and make our prediction for that target zone way more precise. And so if you yourself are interested in such precise predictions, there's two things that you can do at this point in time. First of all, of course, you can go down, subscribe to that channel, turn on the bell notification so you will never again miss another video that we upload. And we upload a bunch of those. So currently we are at 3 videos a week. We will scale it up all the way to 5, 6 videos a week. So a huge load of value for you. And if you want to get even more value, you can also go to the description. There is a link taking you to a landing page where you can fill in your email address, and then you will not get any spam, you will not get any boring newsletters, but you will get notified as soon as we are ready to launch our daily subscription service. Because as of now, as we speak, we already have a hugely successful daily market analysis service in some countries, but probably not in your country of residence. So as we are working on making that happen also in your country of residence, you can go down to the description, fill in your email address, and as soon as we are ready to roll out that service also in your country of residence, you will get notified. And whether or not you want to take up that service then when it is ready to be taken, that's totally up to you. But if I were you, I wouldn't want to miss that information. So go down, make use of that. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.